right, welcome back to Talk of Louisville. I'm Mike Mulroney.
I'm Kellye Duckworth.
Kellye, it's a Friday. We usually ask about weekends. This is our third one this week.
I know. We've been busy this week.
What are you doing this weekend?
Well, it's Mother's Day, so I have
Oh, man, I'm glad you said that out loud.
Yes, Sunday's Mother's Day.
Well, I don't have a mom anymore, so I guess. My wife, I guess, yeah. Or I go put flowers on Mom's grave, I guess.
Same here. No. So I think I have a honey-do list for Drew. That's what I want for Mother's Day. Yes.
Come on. He gets a break, too.
I am my love language is acts of service, so I don't really need gifts. I can buy whatever I want to buy myself, but
what are you going to make him do?
He's going to do some landscaping. We're going to open I'm like, we're going to open the pool. So
it's interesting. So I'm helping open the pool, I guess.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. All right. She lives next door. We've taken business a little to comfort levels. We're neighbors and everything.
And it works, doesn't it?
It does work.
It works
so
great.
If your husband is opening the pool, Mike's opening the pool.
Yeah.
Vice versa. Anything Mike does, I'm like, okay, Mike is doing it. We got to do it, So
I've become the old guy that people watch and pay attention to. So.
How does that make you feel?
Comforting that people trust me, I guess, but I don't. It's weird being on that end. So
you're now the elder.
Yeah, I'm getting that way.
Yeah.
Pull that in.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm the elder. And I guess they're gonna start calling me Pep-on Mike or something. I have no idea. Yeah. So, but yeah, we got a nice little family on the corner there.
Mm-hmm. So who do we have here?
We got Miss Annie Haigler with Peace Ed. Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you
Speaking
so much.
of family, I've told many people I feel like you're a mom to me sometimes, although we're not far off in age. So I was thinking about that earlier. Maybe sisters. How sister and brother?
I could be your mother.
Well, okay. Well, there you go. But I have told people you remind me of my mom. Your kind heart, and just your demeanor and everything about you. So I'm very honored to have you in here.
Well, thanks so much.
So we met how many years ago?
Well, that you're going to make me tell my
Was
age.
it the late 90s or was it? I'm trying to remember when we got.
It was early 2000. It was actually 2000.
Okay.
I was 3.
Yeah. I was going to say, were you born yet?
It was the latter part of 2000, actually.
Yeah. So met Annie when she was at Wheatley Elementary, and we got the place I work was invested time into Wheatley Elementary. So we worked together a lot on buying Christmas gifts, not just gifts, but kids gifts and clothes and some. Did we do food too? I'm trying to remember.
The first thing
we did food. Yeah. I don't know. Because I remember I was trying to figure out how to keep all the milk cold.
Was it in glass bottles back then?
Watch your mouth.
See how she treats us? See how she treats us?
I know how to handle you now.
Yeah, but we was always trying to figure out how to keep the milk and the turkeys and the hams and and then eventually we went to buying canned goods and then giving a gift card or something for that, so we didn't have to worry about keeping it cold.
Exactly right.
But that was a challenge because we went from 50 kids to almost 200 by the time we finished up, I think, didn't we?
Actually were close to 300.
Okay.
Because we were doing almost everybody in my building.
Yeah. I'd run around the company I work for and begging everybody for $20, $40, whatever, and we'd raise and see how many we could buy for kids.
We started out just around 50, and that's when I met you, is closer to Christmas, when you all came in to do Christmas. Because that's what we were doing at the time. And then we branched off from doing Christmas to other things throughout the school year, and some of you began to tutor some kids.
We did. I remember, is it a Real Men Read program or something? So, because I guess the stigma, it's not as much for girls, but I guess for little boys don't think it's cool to read. So we were going in there and letting them know it's all right. You used to tell me some horrible stories, and I've shared this with a lot of people that, I'd be sitting in your office and we casually talking, and you'd say, "Hey, see that little girl? She slept on the floor last night because there was a drive-by shooting." You remember those conversations? Or see that young man right there? All the kids picked on him because he had an accident in his pants and he had no clothes to put back on, so he smelled like that all day, and the kids made fun of him all day. Those stories hit me every time I think about it.
And by the time a teacher or another staff person would get them to my office, those kids had already gone through, from the time they get on the bus, come into the building, they'd already gone through some harassment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other kids see that as fun. It's not fun to the kid who's on the receiving end of that. And because that was the culture, nobody knew that it was really wrong. Maybe somewhere in the back of their mind they knew that, but it had been deemed okay.
Didn't a kid recently, past few weeks, commit suicide because he was bullied? Little boy, was it in Indiana somewhere?
Barnsley.
Farnsley. Yeah, Farnsley. Horrible. I just can't even imagine. But, and you may disagree because you were an educator, but, I think if we start retaliating a little bit against these bullies, maybe it would fix the problem. I don't know. I have no clue, but I'm tired of seeing kids get beat down when they're good kids and just being picked on.
Well, actually, that's part of what PSET does.
Well, I was going to say that leads into what we want to talk about today.
Exactly so right. That's part of what PSET does. Our goal is, one, to give kids resources so they have that internal stuff to help combat bullying around them, towards them. But they also have that internal thing that helps stop bullying of other kids, or to know how to report it when they see it, or to feel comfortable saying to the kid that's doing the bullying, let's do something different. We don't have to do that. That's what PSET is all about. We're education. We're peace education. Our goal is to educate so that everybody in the building have alternatives to violence, period. The goal is to prevent the violence so that we don't have to keep hearing all of this. Will we get everybody? Maybe not. But it doesn't stop us from trying to get everybody. And that's the real goal.
Well, that's all they see every day, and that's all they know. They don't know another way to.
There are lots of violence, right? There's lots of physical violence. There's lots of mental violence, emotional violence. You see it everywhere on TV, in your neighborhoods, in the park.
And I would say, well, first of all, you retired from the school system.
That's
and
correct.
You are now with an organization, nonprofit called Peace Education.
Yes.
So y'all teach and try to get kids to understand how to handle things differently.
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
But I would say, you see a lot of. I had a friend that retired from the school system, and she said the parents were just as bad as the kids sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So then what do you do? When you've got a kid learning that type of behavior in a home, do you also try to work with the parents as well?
Absolutely. That's a part of what we've expanded to do, we have students who are trained now, right? Doing incredible
When
work.
You say trained, what?
In peer mediation.
So Peace Education comes in, your goal is to train students on how to handle conflict situations.
Yes.
And when you say train, they learn how to train the other kids.
That's right.
Okay.
Or they learn how to mediate a conflict from you and Kellye. You and Kellye are
She picks on me all the time, so I probably need to go. I'm bullied.
So you're good. But we have students who are trained how to mediate that so that we can take that bullying, that situation, and stop it before it escalates into something larger than that, right? So we want those peer mediators to say, look, come on, let's talk. Let's sit at a table just like we're sitting here now. Let's talk. What do you think is happening? What do you think is happening? What could you have done differently? And they'll look away, right? And we'll tell them, do eye messages. Look at the person you're talking to. Let your eyes also speak so that people can actually see what you're talking about, what you're feeling. And so their peers are responding to that, and we're seeing evidence of that.
I think I've asked you this before, but, growing up in our day, before Young Pup over here knew what TV was, there used to be a show called Scared Straight where they would take kids into these prisons, and these prisoners would basically scare the living hell out of these kids.
That's correct.
I mean, is there any benefit to maybe getting back to something? I mean, people are visual. If you can't see where your life is headed, physically see, you probably don't have the whole picture. A lot of people, I think, gangs and stuff, they probably, when they kill somebody, I don't think it's obviously it's not a personal connection, but until you actually see it, I mean, I just wonder if, would that help maybe?
This is not a PSET statement. This is an Annie statement.
Okay.
Instead of doing Scared Straight, why don't we do just the opposite of that?
Okay.
Why don't we take kids who only know what they know and then introduce them to things that they don't know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've talked about that before.
Yes, we have.
Getting people out of their zip code.
Create an opportunity. This is my mantra. Every child needs to have an opportunity to see what their possibilities are.
Yeah.
It's opportunities of possibility. That has been my mantra for I can't tell you how many decades now. I did it with my children and with my grandchildren. They need to see they need to have an opportunity to see all that is before them that they don't necessarily see on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
If we do that, I believe we don't need to do a scare straight. I'd rather see the monies, the time, the energy, the focus, the planning, the creation of what could be positive as opposed to what could be negative.
Yeah,
I want them to know you have opportunities. You have the possibility to be and see and do anything that you want to do.
You could be a doctor. You can be a lawyer. You can be a teacher. But all they know is what they.
Gardener that there ever was. You can be the best landscape artist that there ever was.
Yeah.
You can be the best orator that there ever was. You who run your mouth like this all day long. Let's teach you how to take that gift of gab and turn it into something that is very good.
Do you have part of the? And I think you do. But I'm just asking so people can hear. Is there a plan to do that? What if you've got a handful of kids that you know that if you got them to go see a production, a play, it would change their life? Do you have that type of programming?
I know that we can do that. It's not yet in PCS.
Oh, we'll help you with that. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just something as simple as taking them to the movie theater. You know, some of these kids have never seen a movie before.
We have a project that we've just started. It's called Youth Social Action. We got a $5,000 grant to do this. And it's taking kids from several schools around Jefferson County. And we meet every 2 weeks right now. And we want them to talk about the impact of violence, whether it's secondary violence, whether you're watching it, whether you hear it, whether you're feeling it for something that is going on, or whether you've been directly impacted. And begin to put it to work like a podcast. We're going to take them to the studio, let them do a podcast. We're going to take them to the library and let them use all the machinery in the library so they can create this picture. They can write it, but then we want to begin to take them on trips, field trips, so they can see neighborhoods, so they can see careers, people in action, people at work who started out just like them. Mm-hmm. That's the goal of that use. And then we're pulling all that together so that around the end of October, we'll have a full-fledged presentation from all of that. We'll have about 15 kids that are in that project because of that very reason, Michael.
Do you have to rent a bus? Do you all have a van? What do y'all have to get these kids around?
Either the parents have to transport or we have to rent.
Would a van or something help you all if you had like a 15-passenger van?
Absolutely.
We'll talk about that one day. You work with kids all the time, and I'm just curious. When I was growing up, I had people that I looked up to, whether it's a local adult in the area, and aspired to be one day, or it may have been a celebrity back then. You know, I love Kenny Skywalker. He was one of my favorite Wildcats. I always wanted to be Kenny, you know, and do these kids still have that type of thing?
They do.
Or are they so beat down with violence that they don't have any role models or somebody they look up to?
No, I think they still have the role models. I think they still have the role models, but the role models are over there, not necessarily right here in front of my face. So how do we take everyday, ordinary individuals and have them become role models so that those kids can see life differently just through the people that are around them?
Yeah.
How do we take that? Even in a school, how do you take any school and create role models within that school? JCPS has some marvelous programs that we do in terms of offering some of that, but that's on a larger scale. How do we take an individual kid and get them to see that your neighbor, like Kellye and you, is a really good person? Goes to work every day, real good in the neighborhood, helps you and your husband out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Your role model. You want people to follow you.
Yeah.
We have those in our communities.
Are they participating?
Yes, but not in the way you're thinking. You're thinking as an organized participation. I'm talking about getting kids to recognize that your neighbor sitting next door to you who is going to work every day.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. An everyday person could be a role model if they're introduced. Yeah.
But we've got to teach kids that they're role models. We got to stop glamorizing
celebrities and athletes.
And let them know that your neighbors are role models. They're celebrities in their own right. But we don't do that because everything is fixated off of a TV, off of your gadget in your hand, and you see your role models in a much grander light. You don't see your role models as a Mike Maroney.
Yeah. Yeah, some of these celebrities have lost their minds, and I don't know that one of my kids following. So they really have, but they got a platform to do that, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad. Do you want your daughter walking around in some skimpy outfit just because she saw it on social media or TV? And I don't want that. So, but so how many schools are you all in, or do you just come there by invitation?
We come by invitation, and then we come by we invite ourselves to them, and lots of schools take us.
So you're not working specifically in a certain number of schools right now. It's by invitation.
We have about 30 schools that we're in right now.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes. How many schools are in JCPS?
I don't know anymore off the top of my head.
Too many.
I was going to say elementary, middle, and high. I
was over 100? Somewhere the other day. I was looking for a new location for a deals, and I wrote by, and there was a school I'd never heard of.
Yeah, but a handful that I don't know.
Yeah. It's crazy how many there are. A couple hundred, is that?
No, I don't think we're at that level yet.
Over 100, probably.
We have over 100,000 students. I think around 110,000 students. And if I stopped, I could name them all the schools for you, but that would take a minute.
Oh my goodness!
So if you take 100,000 divided by, just say, and there's probably not, but just say 2,000 kids. That's what, 50 schools maybe. So you're probably in the 60 school range, say.
Maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, there's several I've never heard of. I just happened to pass by one the other day. I was like, I've never heard of that before. So how does it work? If you go into a school, do they have to put up so much money for you all to come, or is that where the funding is so you all can do this for free?
Some of our services are fee for service for fee, if the school has the funding to do that. But many of them don't, because we go through the family resource, and you already know their budgets are already short and going to be cut even shorter for this coming school year.
What's that cost? For what would you say roughly?
$700, $750.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting. That's not
We're
bad at all.
We're not really trying to make money to make money.
No, I know you're not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious so people understand the impact that you're having and what it takes to put something like this on.
We really try to put together a fee that schools can afford, or that community sites can afford, mostly to pay the trainers to come in and do that, because you do have to pay the trainers to come in and do that. We do have an office and administration to support, but we try to make it minimum cost to anybody that is out there, because our goal is to reduce violence, is to prevent violence, not to even reduce, but to prevent violence. So our goal is not about getting rich. Our goal is to prevent violence.
But so we got to do something.
Sometimes people don't pay for what we do.
Yeah.
How long are you all in these schools when you go in?
Depending on what they want from us. It could be several week sessions. It could be a one-time session. It could be a family night. It could be 2 to 3 sessions. It's just whatever they can afford, or whether we can afford, we have the funding to pay for.
Is it one-on-one, or is it they bring in the whole school in the auditorium and you talk about?
We do about 10 to 15 kids at a time. It's a small group.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any value you think in having like an entire school come in for like an hour session one day?
Too much at one time. Too much, because you want kids to be able to talk.
Yeah, okay.
If you've got 50 kids in a room and you've got 2 trainers, all 50 kids may want to say something, but may be intimidated by the volume. And then you want to hear kids when they do talk. You want to be able to hear what they say, even if we can't give them answers right there, but we want to hear them so that we can get back to them. And you can't do that when the volume is large.
So are the kids selected by the school that might benefit from this session?
Pretty much.
Okay, so they've been identified as kids that could or could not be a problem that could really use some help.
They could be identified as kids who could be a problem, or
trainers.
They could be identified as kids who could actually motivate and influence other kids.
Yeah. Are you seeing, I know you are, but I'm just curious, do you have any statistics on success with what you all are doing?
We just sent out a survey, because it's the end of our school year. We just sent out a survey to all of our schools, and we're slowly getting them back in, trying to evaluate how effective the services were. Because if we come in and do a training, whether it's a 1 hour, 1 day, 4 sessions, 6 weeks, we need to know, did you see an impact, a positive impact?
Of course.
Did your suspensions, did they decrease? Did your number of violent events, did they decrease? Were the peer mediators successfully mediated arguments between 2 or 3 students? And if they were not successful, what stopped that from happening, so that we know how to fix the problem? Because our team has to grow, right? our team has to grow, and we have to be constantly in a mode of evaluating how effective we are so that we can fix it. It does no good for us to go into a school, deliver an hour's worth of work, and not have it be effective. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's any business. You have to be willing to change your business model based on your effectiveness.
And because we're a service model, we're not a product. We don't have numbers at the end. We're a service model.
You're selling compassion. That's what I tell people all the time.
And so if we are a service model, we have to be evaluating ourselves, how effective we are daily. We can't just say, okay, we were great last week. Let's not touch this again until another 4 months. Can't do that.
Yeah.
We have to constantly be evaluating, well, what could we have done differently? Because that school, those 15 students were different than they were over here in this school. 15 kids. But the things that they raised, concerns that they raised, might have been differently than what this school over here did. So we have to always be in a mode of evaluating what we do and how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah. I mean, so how do you think the kids are responding to this?
Well,
do you deal with kids that are being bullied or doing the bullying, or you hear that the school system is infiltrated by some of the gangs? I mean, have you had any type of
hyperbole goes this way, right?
And it's a media thing. I'm sure they're making it sound worse than it is.
You can go into any school in Jefferson County and you're going to find some kids who are going to be in an argument. Mm-hmm. It's human nature. If the three of us stay together long enough in this room right here, one of us is going to say something that's going to irritate another one, right? Mm-hmm. It's just human nature. The kids that we're working with have been really receptive. I will tell you that they don't necessarily start out receptive because, like, why am I here? Why do I have to sit in this room? Why do I have to listen to these people? But for our team, we have to have the skills to build a rapport, to build a relationship. We can't go in there and start hammering down, don't do this right here, you can't do this right here. Kids have to trust us, which means we have to have intentional desire to help students grow and to help ourselves grow. So we have to build that relationship. Mike, you and I could not have had this relationship if I'd have paid you no attention, if I said all I want from you is your money.
Yeah, that's
we
true.
wouldn't have had this relationship.
Yeah.
Are you in mostly middle and high schools?
We can do elementary, middle, and high school.
Okay.
We do private schools, public schools. We do community centers and community organizations as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right now, I want to see our team grow in the number of trainers that we have, because churches, synagogues, temples have youth groups, right? We need to be able to offer the services to everybody, not just to a school system. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I still think the kids in the school system is probably one of your biggest target markets.
It is our target market.
There's just so many kids that have trauma at home that when they leave home, they come out and you can tell they've got issues at home.
It's our largest base in the school system.
Yeah.
It's where you have the largest audience of kids already gathered.
Mm-hmm. Do you have to get parent approval and sign off before you are allowed to sit down and talk with them, or no?
Not in the school system. Schools take care of getting that approval.
Okay. I was wondering if they had to give some sort of approval.
Everywhere we go, that is already done for us.
Yeah. How are you funded? Do you all do a couple events a year, or how do you?
Mm-hmm.
How long y'all been around? You told me before about
almost 45 years.
See, I'd never heard of them until you reached out. Yeah, really it is, because that's my point is I think the impact would be so much bigger if we could get some sort of marketing around it and let them know what you are trying to do.
We need a marketing person.
Yeah.
That's part of what, if we could get the funds right, we need a marketing and communications person to be able to tell this story. We've been around almost 45 years doing this work for a long, long time, having great input. It's
probably a good thing, because that means you weren't one of the kids that needed to go visit her.
He probably was one of the kids, and he just didn't get to here, but we aren't going to talk about that right there, okay? We're going to leave that one alone.
I get my feelings hurt easy. I got in trouble one time. In school, you'd hear these people cutting all the time. Nobody ever gets in trouble. I cut, and I didn't even cut the whole day.
Did you get caught?
I went to breakfast at Shoney's when it was on Dixie up here. And oddly enough, the chemistry teacher walks in and busts me. And we're sitting there, and I didn't think much about it until we actually went to school that day. He was nice, didn't say a word, and I thought, well, that went well. Yeah, he didn't. He ratted on us. So I don't understand how kids cut all the time and never get in trouble. But one time I go,
don't get caught. You got caught.
Yeah, I know. What are the odds that Mr. Barr walking? I still remember his name. Mr. Barr walked in.
What was he doing? Why wasn't he at school?
He was probably sent there, and it was probably a hot spot for kids to cut. My guess is he probably did it on purpose.
They set y'all up.
You know that because that's probably a true statement.
I know. But if I'd have asked that back then, he'd have probably slapped me in my mouth and said, mind your business, son.
Right.
Well, you probably never cut again, did you?
No, I didn't. I got in trouble.
No, you learned your lesson.
I think I actually got licks for it. No, I think I actually got licks for it. My football coach found out, and I think
that's just crazy to think that your teachers could put hands on you back then.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like your coaches or
Actually, it was a regular.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a regular.
Would y'all get beat with switches or something?
It was a paddle.
A paddle.
I got
a strap.
2 or 3 licks.
I never saw that as abuse, though.
It's an attention setter.
I never saw teachers really just
laying into kids and
I think we ought to get back to that at some point, maybe.
I'm not going to go that far.
But the problem is teachers, I think, probably took it too far. So it's kids they didn't like, they would give extra stuff, and it goes way too far. It ended up becoming abuse instead of getting somebody's attention. He got my attention. I never did it again.
And that's all you needed.
I know.
Yeah.
But most kids aren't as easy to convince as I was. I
think kids, by and large, want some level of structure.
They do.
And I think if we gave them in a way that supported them rather than condemning them, I think we do far too much of the condemnation. Like you're wrong, you're bad, and there's good in everybody. And I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah.
There's good in everybody. Whether or not we can reach them, a lot of that depends on how we approach them.
Mm-hmm.
But you say kids want structure. I firmly believe that. My wife has said that before, and I don't know. We were pretty heavy-handed with our kids, and we got good kids. But even with Avery the other day, I got on her daughter. Even though you get on them, they get upset. 5 minutes later, they're sitting in your lap hugging you because they're wanting to make sure that you're really, really not mad at them.
That's right.
But if you're that parent that's like, get out of my way, you've really made me mad for the day, they're going to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You get on them, you make your point, and then hug on them again, I think is where we need to be. But
I'll go back to the issue of how long we've been doing this. That's why we do what we do, is because kids need affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be told that you are good and you're worthy, but your behavior is not worthy of you. This behavior should not be coming from you. So what can we do to change the behavior? What can we do to help you see a different vision of what could have happened in that situation? Mike and Kellye, when you guys get to arguing, what could you do differently so that Mike hears what you're saying rather than bristling at what you're saying, or rather than...
Are you learning from this?
I am. Because we argue so much.
That's what we teach.
But again, it starts at home. If I see so many people that want to be friends with their kids before they're a parent, and they let their kids get away with murder. Well, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to hurt their feelings. Sometimes you got to hurt their feelings to get their attention.
But if you can't get it at home, there's still opportunities to get it. Because every kid is not going to be able to get it at their house.
I know. That's my point. They're not getting that at home in most cases.
There's still enough of us out here. I believe this. There's still enough of us out here who want to be the difference that child needs to do so that they can move forward productively in their life. Every kid can't get it in their household, not even in their neighborhood. But when I go into a place, there's somebody there. There has to be somebody there that at some point there's a connection that is made.
Do you think even with the parents sometimes not being involved, I've watched my wife in action. I've watched you in action. Certain people know how to get a kid's attention in about 3 seconds. I've seen other people out there begging and pleading with a kid in the hallway because they're doing something they can't. My wife would walk out 3 seconds and she's got that kid almost begging for her to leave. But it's... Are teachers or do you train teachers at all on how to handle conflict? You can't do that? Yeah.
No, I can't speak to what the teacher certification does.
I didn't know if you all worked with teachers too.
We do train teachers on how to do that.
Okay. Like I said, I've seen you at Wheatley. Man, you'd shut a kid down in about 5 seconds and another teacher couldn't get them to do anything.
I could never be a teacher.
But it's all approach.
Yes,
it's really all approach.
It's all approach. You've got to respect kids and they got to know that you respect them and you care about them. even for adults, they got to know that you respect them and care about them. So when we train teachers or parents, it's because we care.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because I want to give you some quick fix method. There is no quick fix method. There's a process, though, of learning who you are and learning how your language affects what you do and it affects how somebody else receives you. And learning how your demeanor, your body language, not your verbal language, your body language, what messages are you sending out? How other people receive those messages, whether it's verbal, whether it is physical. Building a relationship, a positive relationship, starts and ends everything.
Yeah.
And we have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
PSET teaches that.
But that's all in life. In business, you have to build relationships. Absolutely. But if you don't learn early in life how to build those relationships, you're really starting out way behind than everybody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When we talk about building a relationship, large part of that comes from knowing how to communicate. All of us are not good communicators. Some people don't want to talk at all. They just want you to leave them alone.
Well, phones in everybody's hands these days is making it 10 times worse as well, isn't it? I saw the other day where we actually was at PRP this morning, but they're talking about doing what Fern Creek did and making kids drop their phones at the door or something. So, because they're not paying attention. They're communicating other ways. They're not talking to people. They're like this all the time.
But that's a message to the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure COVID hurt it too. Kids being isolated for a year, and not knowing how to communicate with other people.
But I don't want to leave it at COVID.
Mm-mm.
I want us to step away from talking about the damage that COVID did. I want us to recognize what that damage
and
is
move forward.
Yeah. I think we can no longer go to blaming COVID because that puts us in a position where we can stay stagnant. We can just stay there.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have all the answers to everything. But things that we do know that work are the things that we need to focus on. We know that kids want structure.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they want something positive to happen. And we know that kids really want good things out of their lives. They don't always know how to make that happen.
Yeah, they don't know how to get there.
We know by and large, not every parent, but most parents want the very best for their child.
Mm-hmm.
They don't necessarily know how to make that happen. I don't care how we plan. At some point, kids begin to make decisions for themselves. So let's prepare them to make good decisions. Even as a young kid, elementary kid, middle, high school, let's begin to prepare them about how to make good decisions. Weigh the pros and the cons. Is that fight really going to get you what you want? It may relieve that tension for the moment, but is it really going to get you what you want down the road? Is it worth you to hit that kid, to curse that kid out, or to curse that teacher out? Is it worth it for you to do that and then fail a class or fail the grade? Or do you want to put that aside, do what you need to do on here to move forward? How do we get a kid to the point when they can process that quickly? It's not worth it. Go on, leave me alone.
I'm curious, and we've all done this. How many times you've done something on a quick reaction and you think,
absolutely,
I shouldn't have done that.
Absolutely.
An hour later, it's taken me a long time to get that, but we'll talk about something. And I'll say, let's think about it till tomorrow, because your perspective changes.
That's for adults.
That's right.
Even when adults can't do that, and then we demand that children do it.
Right.
We got to give them the resources to make that happen. That's what PSET is all about.
Yeah. So we were talking about how you all raise money. What kind of things do you all do? How do you fund these programs?
We have a golf scramble coming up.
I know. We sponsored it, I think. Yeah. Where's it at? Is it Shawnee?
At Shawnee. You are our
I hope it's not underwater.
They're doing a marvelous job of restoring Shawnee's golf course. Oh, it's beautiful.
It's always been beautiful, but usually when we get those rains, sometimes it's underwater. So
it does.
Yeah.
It does. But they're moving. And it's going to be prettier than ever before. And we'll be at Shawnee Golf Course. They are on June 20th. Tea time is 1 o'clock. Lunch starts about 11:30. Then we have the award ceremony. You all are our signatures.
Well, we wouldn't have had it any other way. Yeah.
That golf scramble, what we do, the gala that we do in the fall, are our two major fundraisers. We've got to look at doing more.
Where's that at?
At Botanical Gardens, you ought to know.
Oh yeah, we went to that last year. Yeah,
that was
our
nice.
signature sponsor at the gala.
That's a beautiful place.
I know it
It
is.
was the first time I'd been there.
And we had a great time.
Yeah,
too.
it was very nice.
Yeah.
Well, and to bring the kids that you all have, impacted in the schools.
So we'll always have kids because I don't want anybody to get confused about what this is really all about. So we'll always have kids at our functions. I want everybody to stay focused on what we're doing.
Yeah, that was awesome.
This is not about me, you all. Even though you're our signature sponsors, it's not about us. It's really about how do we support children.
Yep.
Do you get grants or does JCPS help fund anything with you all?
Fee for services are how we get funds from JCPS. We have someone who is writing some proposals for us so that we can get some grant funding. We've got to increase that piece of it. We have beautiful individual donors who are consistently giving us money to help support. Some of those have been donating for 40 years.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But we've got to increase all of that.
That's crazy.
We have some funding from the Office of Violence Prevention through Metro Government. They give us some money. They've been very supportive for us. You all make it happen. Honestly, there's no stream of funding coming to us that's like, it's going to come in every month.
Yeah.
It is really because of goodness. It's because of goodness that we get that money in.
Well, we've said before, if you don't impact the kids when they're young, you're going to have the adults that don't know how to handle conflict
exactly right.
And
it's easier, less expensive to do it when they're young than it is to try to do it when you're old like me. I'm set in my ways. But young people, they're moldable.
Yeah. I don't know. Mike's changed a few of his ways.
You're working on it.
I know.
I get beat down a lot. I'm telling you, I'm bullied. I need
he used to be quick on Facebook responses, but now he kind of sets it aside. And
I think about it for the
I'd be
next
like,
day.
I got to take your phone away.
He's had some Facebook responses. I'm saying, Mike, okay.
I know. Somebody's got to take his phone.
Yeah, I get a little aggravated.
He's had better growth.
We're all getting there, right?
Yeah.
I'm an action kind of person, though. I believe in getting things. Yeah, I get things done. I feel like, and I don't have no patience. My patience is much better than it used to be. But then again, the general public just says some of the most ridiculous things that drives me crazy. So.
But you can't always respond to that.
I know. I'm learning that. Yeah.
You can't always respond to that. Then you go down a rabbit hole and you'll never get out of that.
I heard a celebrity one time, not that I'm a celebrity, but I heard a celebrity one time say when I go to the grocery store, I avoid the aisles with the tabloid magazines because if my picture's on there and they're saying something bad about me, it puts me in a bad mood the rest of the day. So my point is, I'm getting to where I don't read the comments because it'll be one person that'll set me off and it'll ruin me for the rest of the day.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And you would tell that to the kids.
Yeah.
Somebody says something to you that just aggravates you, swallow it, push it aside and keep it moving. Mm-hmm. If you stay stuck there in that feeling of being angry or ticked off, it will take away all of your joy. Do you
steals your joy.
Do you want to give that away to somebody else who doesn't care anything about you? No.
Yeah. What's another statement they say? I'm glad I'm living in their head or something like that. Yeah.
Free.
Yeah. Rent free in their head. Yeah. Which means they got to somebody and they think it's funny. And it's just crazy what people say.
Some kids, some adults, this even with adults, but a lot of kids would do that intentionally. They will aggravate you, not necessarily hit you, but they'll whisper things, they'll say things, or they'll go talk about you to somebody else. That somebody else makes sure that you hears it, and then you got all of that rolling around. Okay, just dismiss that.
Or another one is, I realized I was wrong 20 minutes ago. Now I'm just trying to make you mad. Think of how many kids probably realize they screwed up, and now they're just not willing to back down.
They're not willing to back down,
and they're going to do everything they can to get you aggravated.
You could talk about gangs in the sense that we really think about gangs, right? But there are other ways to have a gang. It could be your friend group. Mm-hmm. It could be your little clique of friends. You don't call yourself.
Especially girls. Girls can be mean.
Trust me, guys do that.
Do they?
Yes.
I just see girls getting together and ganging up on people. Well, I guess I see it. It just seems like, but girls seem like they take it on forever and ever and ever.
They really do. But still.
Other than you all, your little friend group, y'all just say how you feel to one another.
I know. Rough friend
Sometimes
group.
y'all say stuff to each other. I'm like, what did she just say?
I know.
But they don't get mad about it.
No filters.
They don't get mad at each other or nothing.
But they know that and they trust each other.
Yeah.
That's not true. Outside of that friend group, if somebody else has said some of those things, you'd be looking at them cross-eyed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah, I had a friend, and back in the 80s, you could say things and nobody get offended. He was Korean. And somebody called him a chink one time on the football field, ticked him off. He laid the guy out and he goes, my friends can call me chink, but you're not going to.
And you're not my friend.
That's right.
Yeah.
But, nobody got offended about anything back then, but it doesn't take much to set people
because we're all sensitive.
Yeah.
Right now, we're all going through stuff. We're all traumatized by something, and we're going through something. So things hit us differently, right? And we don't always think. We just feel. Everything is about feeling now.
Well, if you got into it with your parents or your brother or sister in the morning before you go to school, you're already aggravated. So you come in and you immediately lash out at somebody because you don't know how to handle it. And that's what y'all do.
Or you're hungry.
I get hangry easily. Is that a big, I know it is, but I'm asking kids come in that are hungry. Absolutely. They're obviously going to be aggressive anyway.
Absolutely. Or they're too tired to be aggressive.
Yeah, because they've been up all night.
Hurt.
Yep.
I may not fight, but that doesn't mean I'm not hurting. I just don't have the energy to do that. On top of that, it's not my personality. It's not my nature to engage in an argument. So I walk around all day long feeling hurt because I don't have any way of letting go of that energy. I don't have any way of expressing. And so all you see is the sadness. All kinds of things happen when you get a group together, particularly children. All of us, especially adults. This is Ann talking, not Peace Ed talking. All of us have to find ways to navigate through that so that we don't leave people hurting, intentionally hurting. We ought not to ever want that.
Do you think there's some really evil people out there that just really
don't ask me to respond to that?
Flat don't care about somebody's feelings?
Don't ask me.
I know you said you believe there's good in everybody, but I really feel sometimes there's just some people that just no matter what, they're just not going to care what they do.
So you impact on the other side of that. You know that's that group of people, right? But the other side of the table, are the people that they're impacted, right? So we go and impact them in a way that helps them disregard this. If you know that he's just, my job is to go to Kellye and say, come on, you know who he is, you know how he is, let's move on. Let's not get bogged down into that stuff because you end up being this. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So what could you do differently? When this comes at you in a way that you can't handle, what do you do differently so that you don't have to go there with that person? Do you walk away? Do you say, hey, God, look, it's all right. It's all right. Or you say, let's talk later. Or do you just stand there and let them do what they do and go on about their business? However you handle that, there are other ways to do it besides getting into a confrontation.
Is there a religious aspect to what you all do? I heard you just said, let God think about it, whatever you just said. Is there a religious aspect to it? No. Sometimes, whether you're religious or not, there's some good aspects about that people could really learn from it.
There are. Our job is not to tell you what to believe faith-wise. I'm never going to do that. I've got too many friends and too many different
for sure.
And faiths. But they're good people. Somewhere along the way with it, we all converge on just doing good, right? Well, Peace Ed is not we're housed in Central Presbyterian Church from the day we started, 45 years. But we don't espouse Central Presbyterian as our leader in terms of faith-wise. We are non-political. We're non-religious. We're just an organization just trying to do good. Period.
Yeah, well, it's definitely needed. We need to figure out how to get you all in every school in the city of Louisville. And let these kids know that there's different ways to handle trauma.
There was a way that I could get into the schools, and we're doing that now.
All the school connections you have, I figured you could call every school in Louisville and have, I guess you...
Look, I'm old. These are young. They don't know who I am.
Well, we got connections. We feed a lot of kids now. We got connections to the FRCs in about 18 different schools right now. So, maybe we can help make that connection and we'll help.
But again, if they don't have the monies,
right.
We try to raise money. We try to raise money so we can go to the schools that just can't afford it. Because what I don't want to see Peace Ed do is not be able to reach a school and reach students
because of funding.
So our goal is, we put all the energy into fundraising for that purpose.
Right.
Not to hoard the monies in a bank someplace, but to provide services in places that don't have the funding to make that happen. Whole purpose of fundraising to me.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
we got to do that.
We want to help. How can people help? So you got a gala coming up in the fall. You got a golf scramble coming up in June. What's the website if people want to go out and make a donation?
It is at www.peaceeducationprogram.org.
Yep. I know we...
peaceeducationprogram.org. Okay.
Or you can call our office, 502-589-6583. Alva or Christina or myself, one of us will be there. We'll take that call.
Okay.
We have an e-newsletter. If you want to get in our newsletter, we send out every month. Just let us know that you want to be connected with us. Your donation to the Peace Education Program doesn't have to be a giant amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
You want to send us $5, $10, whatever you could afford.
We tell everybody you can change somebody's life by the cost of a cup of coffee every month.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The golf outing is June 20th at Shawnee Golf Course. If you want to register a team, that cost is $500, but you could just make a donation and just come on down and join us. We're doing actually pretty good now. We're probably going to have about 24, 25 teams.
That's good.
Wow.
I want 24, 25 teams. That's me projected outward, right? So I want 24. Did you all hear me? I want 24, 25 teams.
Yep.
So that's me projected outward. And so our goal is to go after that many teams.
Are you playing?
I don't play anymore. I love golf. I love golf, but I was never any good at it.
Yeah,
I even took classes at St. Clair College when I lived in Ohio just so I could learn how to putt because I really like putting. I don't really want to.
And I like going to putt and stuff like that. I can do that.
I don't want to hit long balls or any of that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to do a hole in one. I just want to be able to putt. I want to be able to hold a golf club like this right here and brace my feet and look down the course and just do that. But it's great fun. My biggest joy in our golf scrambles is driving the carts around. It's got all the beverages on it.
Oh, yeah.
I just have a ball.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
When I lived in Ohio, we had an education foundation, and one of our biggest was a golf scramble that we did. And I enjoyed the golf cart then. So
we used to do a glow in the dark golf scramble, and I said used to because the last time we did it like 6 years in a row. The last time we did it, people had a little bit too much fun, and the golf course is like, we can't do this next year. So.
Probably some insurance liability there.
Well, we're going to have some fun, so and take that however you want to. We're going to have some fun on the course and come. Everybody, just call us, get registered, go to the website, call me, come on down to the golf course, Shawnee Golf Course. If you've never seen us in action, you'll want to be there next year because we have a good time.
You got the date for the gala yet?
The date for the gala, I believe, is the last Thursday in September.
Only reason I bring that up is because you can't come to the golf scramble.
Absolutely.
Coming to the gala is very eye-opening to hear some of the kids speak about how they have really changed their life.
That's right.
It was pretty impactful. So, plus Botanical Gardens is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I think you need a bigger space though. That you were tight last year.
We are still tight. We're going back there again this year, but I agree with you. Our numbers are increasing, and we're going to need a bigger venue. And I hate that in the sense that I love the gardens.
Yeah.
I love everything about the gardens. We might be able to expand in some additional space at the garden, and that's one of the reasons we're moving it up a little bit this year. Is to sort of test out that theory. To sort of test that theory that we could use a more open space.
Yeah.
Because the gardens are they're beautiful on any day, but during our gala, it was amazing.
Well, it was a perfect day to be out.
Perfect.
Yeah, because it's pretty open.
Perfect.
Well, thanks for coming in. I love you to death, and so glad you're in here. We're going to do what we can to continue to help you.
I appreciate you.
We got to figure out a way.
The partnership might...
we had a connection back when we met, and
day one.
Yeah, and it's been a great thing. So,
it's like mines. I was new to Wheelie. I've been there just under a year. It was like mines. We were talking, and the connection was real. Mike was able to share that with some of his colleagues. Again, that group became intense almost. Intentional about what we were doing for students, what we were doing for families, and that's the other key piece. And that's the part that we are branching into for Peace Ed. This isn't just about one student. This is about families. This is about changing lives of families, one student at a time. And that's our goal.
Well, maybe they're learning something too, and not only train kids, but maybe go home and train their parents if that's part of their stress as well, So, well, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
We'll get your information out there. And again, it's pretty incredible work, and we'll continue to support.
I love what we do.
Yep.
I absolutely love what we do.
All right. Until next time. Thank you.
See you all. Thank you.